Miss Creighton, this is my wife, Jenny. Jenny is Miss Helen Creighton.
Hello.
Hello, Helen. How are you, dear?
Fine, thanks.
Wonderful. Helen, dear, this is a good friend of ours, Jim Hughes.
Hello.
Jim, this is Helen Creighton. Have a seat now, right over there, dear. Make yourself at home. There's no strangers here.
Put the tea on, will you, Jenny?
It's on, darling. Get your foot off the table, Enos. You make room for the biscuits.
Jenny, Miss Creighton here, well, she's interested in ghost stories.
Ghost stories, are ya? Well, you come to a grand place for that. We got a fine old gentleman sitting right over there that's a good old storyteller. Isn't he, Enos?
Sure is. How about a story from old Jim Muse and that fishing trip of his?
Worst scare I ever had in my life.
Old Jim took a little boy with him to help with the work.
Just thought I'd catch up with a little fishing.
Well, the boy did all the work.
Well, why not? I told him he could keep all the trout he could catch.
Oh, if he had any time to catch any.
It wasn't a very big campsite he had to set up, hey, Jim?
Well, anyway, we went out as far as we could, and it began to get dark, so we turned our canoes towards shore. Getting a mite chilly too by then, you see.
By the time they brought everything in, it was time for the young boy to go to sleep.
Old Jim was tired from all that fishing.
Tired? Me? I could fish circles around you, Enos, and you too, for that matter.
It wasn't long, the young boy was snoring away.
The truth right. It weren't too long before old Jim was doing the same.
And that's when I heard the someone coming.
An animal or something?
Can't fool an old trapper like my daddy. I can tell the difference between human steps and that of an animal.
Then we got real close. Old Chicken Jim there woke the young boy out.
Well, wouldn't want anything to happen to the lad now, would I? Well, we could both hear the someone making just enough noise to keep us awake. But we didn't see anything till morning. And then, right there in front of us,
There was two neat feet sticking out of the ground.
two big feet sticking up out of the ground. They belonged to this fellow named Blake, who had drowned and was buried there with his
Feet sticking out of the ground.
Enos, who's telling this story?
Well, you are, Jim.
Well, let me tell it then. Well, when we realized there was a dead man right there beside us, we got out of there in a hurry. You know, I thought a lot about that there ghost. They say the dead don't come back unless they want something.
Well, it was a nice enough point of land to be buried on, but I guess maybe he didn't like the way his feet were sticking out.
Maybe old Jim should have stuck around long enough to tuck him in.
I wonder if old Blake ever did get that message across to anyone.
Don't know.
I knew a woman who could see a funeral before it took place, even sometimes before the person had took sick. She'd know whose funeral it was and what the hearse looked like. Well, she'd even know the names of the people following behind.
That's known as double vision, Miss Creighton. The folks that can see things before they happen is said to be double-sighted.
And then there's them that can look back and see things from the past.
And what's that called?
Behind sight.
It's hindsight, your arsehole. Oh, excuse me, Miss Creighton.
Well, whatever you call it, my grandmother had it.
Could you tell us about it, Jim?
Do you think you could stop them?
Well, back when my grandmother was a girl, she lived down Valley Way. Now, there were soldiers stationed at Port Royal in them days. Well, one night at a dance, she met this young fella. To make a long story short, they kind of took a liking to one another and agreed to meet in the morning. They was going to go horseback riding or something.
Telling your grandmother was the or something.
That's my kid you're talking about there, boy.
Whoa, what boys? We've got company here. Never mind their foolishness, Miss Grady.
Well, morning come, my grandmother got up, got ready, waited for the young fella to call. Time went on and he didn't show. Now, my grandmother was getting might upset, but she waited, waited. Eventually, the young fella did call and told her this story.
It was quiet that night at the inn. Long about the wee small hours, I woke, certain there was someone scrabbling at my door. Now I bolted it tight enough, but didn't someone come through it? Right through it like it wasn't there. And another man come out from the wall opposite. They was dressed old-fashioned, tricorn hats and all. They met in the middle and bowed to each other. Oh, they were right gallant gentlemen. And they took off their hats, and they commenced to dueling. I was so scared I couldn't move. At length, one of them run t'other through. He pulled out the bloody blade and wiped it. I was feared he'd come for me next, so I shut my eyes tight. And the next thing I knew, it was late in the morning and the sun was shining in on the floor where the body lay. But there wasn't nothing there. Nor no sign there'd ever been nothing there.
When my grandmother heard this, she felt sure the young fellow was pulling her leg. Nothing he said could make her believe.
And?
That story's been told in our family ever since.
Well, how did they get into the room?
Don't know.
Was the door opened?
She said it was bolted.
What about sounds?
Didn't mention any. Oh yes, years later when they built the Royal Bank, they found the body of a man, dressed exactly like my grandmother's beau had described. You know, come to think of it, the inn where the young fellow had stayed was right near that spot.
I've got a story for you.
Come on over here and tell us.
Enos, you remember Dora?
Can't say I do right offhand.
Dora, Mr. Housewife.
That's right, Huffy's wife. Remember when they had that flat on Barrington Street and I had to stay over because of the weather?
The card players.
That's it, darling.
Yeah, tell her that one. You'll like this one, it's a good one.
Happened right here in Halifax, it did.
That it did, Jim. That it did. Well, the flat was nothing special. Just 3 small rooms on the ground floor. Dora and Alex slept in one room and the young'un in the other. Now, because I was staying over for the night, I slept in with the young'un. Well, I couldn't have been asleep more than a couple of hours when I was awakened by the sound of bottles clinking. Then I heard knives slashing and men talking.
Where?
Right there in the room with me. I was too scared to call out.
Bet it was the worst scare you ever had in your life.
It sure was, you old buzzard. But after a few minutes, I decided to open my eyes again and have another peek. Right there in the room with me was 4 men. Oh, I remember one of them in particular. He was a big un with an oily look and a long mustache. He had a long knife with a silver blade.
You saw all of this with one look?
I saw all of that with one look.
You mean to say you saw all of that with just one peek?
Well, of course I did. After that, I closed my eyes and I prayed hard. All night I kept saying to myself, "You're not asleep. This ain't no dream." Oh, I was too scared to call out.
And no one else in the house heard any sounds?
Nope, not a sound. Well, I could tell by the way Dora and Alex acted the next morning. But I made a point never to stay in that house again. Nope, not at all. Oh, Enos, behave yourself. Come on. company here. Be good tonight, would ya? Well, the building used to be a hotel. Now, Dora and Alex's room used to be a part of that hotel. What they would do is that one fellow would rent the room, and he'd let the rest in through the window. And there they would talk and drink and play cards. Let me tell you something. Those games were not all gentlemen's games.
I heard a tale one time about a young fella not 16 years old got stabbed down in that place.
I heard that same story.
Maybe if you had kept your eyes open, you would have seen the stabbing.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, I think I saw enough.
Well, that was a wonderful story, Mrs. Hartlen.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
It's all very mysterious.
Isn't it though?
Well, as much as I hate to do this, and especially after such a wonderful story, it is getting late, and I must be on my way.
All right. I do hope you come back another time, though, dear.
I would love to come back.
Yeah, come back anytime. We'd love to have you.
Actually, Mr. Hartlen, could you do one thing for me before I leave?
Sure.
You know that song you were singing before? The one about the emigrants?
Oh, you must have liked that one, did you?
I wondered if you could sing it for me again before I leave. I'd like to get it down in my notes and take it home with me.
Can I string it with you, Enoch?
If you think you can, you old fart.
I'll give it a try, Enoch.
Hand up. Don't take the chair too far.
Come, all ye old comrades, come now, let us join. Come join your sweet voices in chorus with mine. For we'll laugh and be jolly while sorrow refrain. For we may or may never all be here again.
It was lovely to meet you, Miss Creighton. Do travel safe. Have a good night, dear. Good night.
Have one more for the ride home?
Why not? Might as well be hanged for a sheep as a lamb.